am a Pogue, and I always will be. This is why I hate coming back here.
Outer Banks, a Netflix original series, focuses on the two main tribes of the Outer Banks, the Pogues and the Kooks. The Pogues are the island's working class and the Kooks are their bosses. The show has grabbed the hearts of many viewers across the globe and has quickly become a huge success. In today's video, we'll share some of the most loved and most hated characters. Most loved characters. Outer Banks fans instantly fell in love with the Pogues, despised the Kooks, and supported John B. and Sarah's forbidden romance. Throughout the season, the audience learns more about the main cast of characters, which benefits some but harms others. The Pogues are frequently portrayed as the good guys, while the Kooks are portrayed as power-hungry, discriminatory, and self-absorbed. Some of the other characters fall somewhere in the middle, while others are born Kooks but choose to be Pogues. This list ranks the main or recurring characters from the Netflix original series Outer Banks from best to worst. JJ Maybank. JJ is someone with whom viewers can empathize. He comes from a tumultuous home with an abusive father and believes he has no choice but to obtain the money from the royal merchant. He has to look after himself, which causes him to make hasty decisions because he's still a teenager. By the end of the season, JJ has begun to reorganize his priorities. Some of that development can be seen when he stands up to Pope and prevents him from choking Rafe for injuring Kiara. JJ is a character who, thankfully, viewers gain insight into. At first glance, he appears to have anger issues that exacerbate the situation for himself and his friends. This is clear when he threatens Topper with a gun he and the other Pogues discovered on the ship. Throughout the series, he becomes more daring. Kiara Carrera. Kiara serves as the Pogue's moral compass. She prevents JJ from using his gun whenever possible, reasoned with John B about his scheme but still helped him, and keeps Pope focused on the task at hand. She ensures that their impulsive behavior does not go too far, but she still prioritizes her friends above all else. She's also an environmentalist and a human rights activist. Whatever comes between her and another person, she's willing to treat them fairly and work through it, including her grudge against Sarah at some point. Sarah Cameron is the Kook's princess. While she is one of the most popular girls on the island, she's more open than the other rich girls. She turns a blind eye when John B borrows scuba equipment from her father's boat and assists him when he is injured while fleeing Child Protective Services. Despite her differences with Kiara, she's completely committed to assisting John B and the Pogues. Sarah does have a few moments that do not reflect well on her. One of the most significant is that she cheats on Topper with John B. Her younger sister warning to Topper that Sarah would cheat on him indicates that this is a pattern she has in her romantic relationships. Sarah, on the other hand, is one of the characters who genuinely cares about the Pogues and wants to keep them safe. John B. John B is the show's protagonist, so it's difficult for him not to be likable. Viewers sympathize with him as he deals with his father's disappearance. While he is very self-sufficient, he also has moments when his innocent, almost boyish side reminds fans that he's still a teenager. This is especially true when he kisses Kiara despite JJ's warnings. Even though the other Pogues are aware of the dangers they're putting themselves in, John B persuades his friends to continue their search for the royal merchant. It's disappointing that he expects his friends to continue putting themselves in danger. They're all eventually on board because they want to help John B finish what his father started. While he can be reckless, such as surfing the surge before a storm and fleeing the police, he usually has good intentions. Sheriff Peterkin. The sheriff is one of the series' most sympathetic characters. She understands John B's problems and is willing to go out on a limb to assist him. Even though it isn't in her job description, she's always one step ahead of everyone else and she knows exactly what the Pogues are up to and who they're fleeing. In her spare time, she protects the island's most vulnerable children while keeping an eye on people like Shoop and Barry. Pope Hayward. In the group, Pope is the voice of reason. He doesn't want them to get in trouble, but he's always out for an adventure. This gets him into trouble, such as when he and JJ sabotage Topper's boat, sparking a larger conflict between them all. Even when Pope shows signs of weakness, such as beating up Rafe, it's only after he has been pushed to his breaking point. He's always there for his friends, and when he and Kiara start dating, he doesn't become jealous or possessive, which is a relief. Pope's merely a likable guy. Most people have struggled with balancing peer pressure and the pressure to do what they believe is right, which Pope does throughout the season. Most hated characters. Viewers discover that some characters are less likable than others, particularly those who appeared to have good intentions at first. With a second season on the way, it's interesting to reflect on the actions of the characters in season 1 and hope that they develop and grow in the episodes to come. Rafe. Rafe has been troubled since the beginning of the show. He owes money to a local drug dealer and is absent from his family. He harbors an unjustified hatred for the Pogues, and he has a vendetta against Pope in particular. Everything that is wrong with Rafe appears to stem from his relationship with his father. Ward's treatment of him as a disappointment does not excuse his actions later in the season, particularly when he shoots the sheriff to keep his father from being apprehended while fleeing the island. Rafe also spreads the myth that John B. murdered the sheriff, even telling his younger sister about it. Topper appears to be a caring boyfriend at first, but it soon becomes clear that he is not looking out for Sarah's best interests. He quickly becomes suspicious and interrogates her aggressively. He may think he loves her, but Sarah knows he doesn't. He just likes the idea of her, and he can't let that or his social standing go. He's a bystander to some horrific events such as Rafe beating up Pope. He also fires John B. out of jealousy, and when he accidentally pushes him off the tower, he's concerned about being implicated, not Sarah or John B.'s feelings. Topper, on the other hand, proves his loyalty at the end of the season by allowing Sarah and John B. to flee. He also avoids causing trouble or violence, always tries to talk Rafe down. Rose Cameron is one of the Outer Banks' recurring characters. Carolyn Arapagola portrays her. She is a successful young realtor, trophy wife, and stepmother living on the Outer Banks. Rose, like her husband, grew up as a Pogue, but she has made a name for herself in a wealthy society, now enjoys everything it has to offer. While she appears to be sweet on the outside, she has a ruthlessness that has no doubt gotten her to this point. She's exactly like her husband, Deputy Shoop. In the pilot episode, Deputy Shoop is a corrupt police officer who steals Scooter's money. Throughout the series, he engages in misconduct and collaborates closely with Ward. Before hearing their version of the story, he's ready to make the Pogues look bad, and he doesn't have his town's best interests at heart. His actions encourage crime and put his community at risk. Barry. The Cut now has leverage over Rafe as a result of his knowledge that he murdered Sheriff Peterkin. As they clash with the Pogues, Barry remains by Rafe's side. Carrillo previously played Jennings in a few Teenage Bounty Hunters episodes. Ward Cameron is unquestionably the most dislikable character on the Outer Banks. At first, he appears to be a helpful member of the community who's concerned about his children and even John B. after his father disappears. When he wants the gold for himself, his perception of him changes completely. His greed drives him to murder two men, frame John B. for stabbing him, and fabricate a story in which John B. murders the town sheriff. Overall, he lacks redeeming qualities. While some may argue that he does everything for his family, this is not the case when it comes to how he treats his children, particularly Rafe. There you have it, the most loved and the most hated characters from the hit Netflix series Outer Banks. Outer Banks has become such a hit, especially with young, adult teen demographic. The show also benefited greatly by airing during the global health situation, when many of us around the world are stuck at home more often than not. We're curious to hear your thoughts on our picks of most loved and most hated characters of Outer Banks. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. Thanks for watching.